This week's declaration is, I am in love with Jesus. Last week we talked about how he outrageously loves us. And 1 John 4:19 says, we love because he first loved us. As we grasp God's love for us, as we realize the depth of what Jesus did on the cross out of love for us, our heart will overflow in love. And I know personally, as I have been set free from condemnation and shame and guilt and all the stuff that used to really hold me captive when I was struggling with eating disorders, I have come to know God's love in a whole new way. I've come to know his sweet forgiveness, his grace, his kindness, when my voice was so much condemnation over myself, and his voice comes in with a different song and a different tune, and he tells me how much he loves me, and he tells me how nothing can separate me from his love. And he reminds me of my righteousness in him, even though I wasn't doing perfectly. That melted my heart and brought me to a place of actually loving God and loving Jesus, rather than for many years I was a Christian and I followed Jesus, but maybe a lot of it was out of sort of duty and should. And I think we're getting to a time currently where it's harder and harder to follow Jesus. It's harder and harder to stand up as a Christian, or it's more and more uncomfortable in the world, and it invites more persecution. And I don't think duty is going to carry us through that. I think in the past, where, being a Christian could be a kind of comfortable add-on to your life, it's not like that anymore. If you really are going to follow Jesus, it's going to cost you more. And what's going to carry us through that cost is falling in love with Jesus, because cost for someone who you don't actually love and don't have that relationship of love with will be easy to say, no thanks, I'm gonna turn away, and we can fall away from following Christ. But if we truly love him, that will carry us through, because persecution always drives us deeper into the heart of God, and the glory that is available in the midst of persecution, the intimacy with Jesus as we share in his sufferings, is beautiful. And if that is what you live for, if you are fed by intimacy with Jesus, then that experience can all serve to drive you deeper and bring you more alive. But if your relationship with God is more out of duty and should, or habit, or sort of a bit more passive, then the promise of sweet intimacy with Jesus in the midst of persecution isn't going to be such an exciting thing, and therefore there's going to be more temptation to drop away when the going gets tough. So now is a time more than ever to develop that relationship of love, of first love with Jesus, to know him as your lover, to know him as your friend, to know him as one who you want to spend time with, who you want to go on a walk with, who you want to talk with, who you want to spend the evening alone with. That is what enables us to sleep in the middle of the storm, to ride through life's trials and count it all joy, because we get formed more into Christ likeness, and we get to fellowship with him in the midst of it. So I encourage you, if that is something that is still foreign to you, say, I don't really know if I love Jesus. And actually it more resonates with me, the other thing you were saying, of being a kind of a bit more habitual Christian, or someone who's gone with the flow because it's been easier, and now I'm not finding it easy to follow Jesus because friends or flatmates or schoolmates or colleagues are challenging me on it, and it's becoming more and more uncomfortable to stand with Christ. Then now is your time. Cry out to Jesus and say, Jesus, I want to love you. I want to know you as the lover of my soul. Please help me. Please show me how to love you. Please let me experience your love, that I may bubble back with love towards you, and allow him to soften your heart, and try and spend time in his presence, rather than just the kind of should, I don't know, do the Christian stuff that you might be used to doing. Get alone with him, spend some time, sit on the floor, put on some worship music, and invite him to come, and invite him to soften your heart, and invite him to woo your heart. And if you're going on a date with someone, you go and spend that intentional time to get to know them deeper. Carve out that time with Jesus. Have a date night again with Jesus, and allow your heart to fall in love with him, because that is all we need. That is what will carry us victoriously through to eternity.